What is going on, YouTube? This is Lawrence over at Mighty Comics and Collectibles. We're going to get started here in a minute. Just want to see if anyone comes in the chat before I start. Got some great stuff to show you guys today. Hang on a few seconds and then we will go live. We are back. What's going on, everybody? Hope you guys are doing well. This is Lawrence over at Mighty Comics and Collectibles, and today we are here for Key Issue Spec Show, episode number 3. This is a new series that I've been working on, trying to do some new stuff to show you guys basically what books I think are hot, what books are undervalued. So if anybody hasn't checked out my last couple of videos that I did for this show, check them out. 2 really, really great issues that I think are really undervalued and getting ready to pop anytime soon. So check those out if you haven't yet. I'm going to get caught up on the chat. What's going on? I got Rod here, brother. What's going on? Everybody interested? Rod is going live tonight at 8 o'clock as well, Eastern. I got Chunky Monkey Comics. What's going on with you, brother? How are you, man? Glad to see you. So for anybody not familiar, every week, usually on Tuesday nights, I go live and we talk about 1 or 2 books that I think are getting ready to pop, or books that haven't reached their maximum potential yet, and books that I think are probably going to show up in the MCU or any other DC, Marvel, Sony, any of those things. It could be Disney Plus. Books that I think are hot, that have first appearances, that are key issues, and most importantly, books that I have in my own personal collection. So I'm going to spoil some things. The first couple of weeks ago, we did Amazing Spider-Man number 194. It showed you guys that I actually have 3 copies of that right now. Last week's episode featured a couple of books. It was Secret Wars number 8. It was Amazing Spider-Man 252 and Marvel Team Up 141, all the black suit issues. I told you guys that the 252 is the book that I thought was the money book, with Secret Wars 8 being right behind that. So for tonight, I have 2 books for you guys as well. Books that I think have gone up a little bit in price, but once they actually hit the screen or once the announcement has been made, there's no turning back. They're going to skyrocket. So let's just jump right into it, and I'll show you guys the first book. The first one is a book that I own 3 copies of as of right now. And I actually have a 4th on the way, believe it or not. That's how much I believe in this book. It is, again, an inexpensive book. First 2 weeks, we had books that were $100 to $150, roughly, depending on the grade. This, again, in a very fine, is probably around $100. The first book we're going to talk about tonight is Marvel Spotlight on the Spider-Woman, number 32. Anybody who's been paying attention to this book, it has definitely gone up. I would say it's doubled in price since I picked this book up about 2 years ago. I had it graded at that time by CBCS. This one is a 7.5 off-white to white. This is my only graded copy of this book, and I got to be honest, this book looks a hell of a lot better than a 7.5. So I don't know why it came back 7.5, but either way, I think I paid like $40 for this a couple of years ago, and we'll get into what it's worth now, because that's part of what we do here live. I also have 2 raw copies that I picked up recently, but like I said, because I think this book is ridiculously hot. This one I got for steal, and I'm not going to tell you how much because eventually it'll go for sale. But again, this is a beautiful looking copy of this book, and I got it for a song and a dance recently. This one I probably have had, I think I got off this at a live clean sale. It's probably like a 6.0, maybe 5.5. Not the highest grade copy, but still a book I always going to keep picking up before she's announced in the MCU or the Sony Spider-Verse probably. That's probably where it's going to be. So let's talk value. Again, I paid about $40 for this, my graded copy, even though I bought it raw and had it graded, but I paid about $40 originally. And I picked one of these up for very cheap and one for a decent price. But this book is screaming hot right now. Ridiculously screaming hot. And it's still very, very affordable. We're talking under $100 to $100 roughly. So what we do on the show, we go to GPA, which is comics analysis for eBay sales. So I'm going to show you guys that right now and share my screen. I'm going to take this off. And there we go. You guys should be able to see this now. Actually, let me do this so I can minimize it. There we go. You guys can see that much better now. So again, I have this book pulled up at a 7.5. You can see me circling it right there because that's what I have. I have a book that's a 7.5. I also have 2 raw copies like you've seen. One is probably at least an 8.0 in my opinion. The other one's probably, like I said, a 6.055. So we're going to look at a 7.5 first. You're going to see the average sale is about $110. Up from when I bought a couple of years ago, I paid $40 for it. And I think that was about the price around then. You can go actually back. You see this $76. I believe that these are years here at the top. Let me just check that out. That was actually the 2019 average. I picked that up probably around in 2018. So you can see it's 76, 85, 102, 108, and now we're averaged at 110. And expand this a little bit. Of course, Book Spike, everybody knows that. They go up, they down, and go up, they down. The high for this year so far has been $128 on a 7.5, low being 78. Now, we're talking about a book that is literally under $100 or around $100 for a 7.5, very fine copy of a first appearance of not a major character, but, a side character. There's been announcements, there's been talk about her showing up in a Sonyverse for some movie or being part of the next, Into the Spider-Verse movie, sequel to the award-winning film, the short, cartoon or whatever you want to call it. So I actually think it's going to go the opposite way. I think she's actually going to get her own feature film through Sony. They've given a lot up to Marvel, right? They've given a lot of the Spider-Man up to Marvel. They're doing some of their own independent villain work with Morbius. I'm hearing there may be a Kraven Hunter movie, stuff like that. I think she's going to get her own movie. We'll see. You may see her appear in one of these upcoming movies sooner rather than later, and then maybe get a movie later on. So this book, to me, is so inexpensive, $100 for a very fine copy. Again, I'm not looking for, this book's not going to go to $1,000 in my opinion, unless the movie's absolutely amazing and people start reading the character and going crazy. I picked up a Spider-Woman #1, like from the new series, the Monster book, and I read it and I thought it was awful. So they are not doing her any justice, in my opinion, for the new books. But this is actually a great book to at least, I think, double your money when she actually is seen on TV or in a movie. I think personally she's going to be in a movie. So you guys let me know what you think in the comments. You guys let me know in the chat. Speaking of the chat, I'm going to get caught up. I'm going to minimize this a little bit. What is going on, Beta Ray Jim, brother? How are you doing? Exactly. This book is popping up everywhere. Like I said, I bought a couple off of eBay recently. I got one at a live claim sale, actually, and I picked it up because I knew how hot this thing is getting. It's going nothing but up and up. It hasn't had a major jump until you actually maybe see a trailer. We see something else about her. Maybe she gets cast, and then you'll see it skyrocket. Yeah, like I said, I've been trying to pick up a lot of raw books lately. I do have a slab, as you've seen. I have a lot of slabs, but I've been trying to pick them up raw because I'm finding that they're cheaper and they're a little bit underpriced. So that's why I've been doing that, and I think it's a good idea. But either way, that's my #1 pick for this week. Marvel Spotlight on the Spider-Woman #2, and the first appearance of Jessica Drew also, by the way. So again, great pickup. You may see Jessica Drew inside a movie before she actually becomes Spider-Woman. So let's not forget that. I do have an alternative for anyone who doesn't want to spend that type of money on a book, and there are people out there who think that $100 is way too much money. You can also pick up this book, and it is, let me minimize this so you guys can see it. That is Spider-Woman #1. This is not as cheap anymore. You could probably pick up a very fine for around $40 right now. But again, they're very similar. Like the covers are similar. So be very careful what you're picking up. Spider-Woman #1, Marvel Spotlight, her first appearance, #32. Again, this is a beautiful copy. It's graded at a 9.2. I got to be honest, it looks hell of a lot better than that. I can't find a flaw with it whatsoever. So I'm hanging on to both of these for right now. But like I said, if you could pick up the Spotlight 32, that's my preference. That's what I call the money book that can easily double once she's cast or anything. And they're also, like I said, they're Bronze Age books. Everybody loves the Silver Age, including myself, but I'm finding so many bronze books that are so undervalued right now. We saw last week was Origin. Those are all 80s books. I believe ASM 194 is also a Copper Age book. It's an 80s book, 81, I think, if it was from. So, like, I've done Copper. Now we're getting to the Bronze, and I think the Bronze is just heating up to the point that it's crazy. So that's my number one spec book for this week. And I have one more to show you guys. I'm going to go back to my thing here so I can get back to my other GPA. Actually, before I do that, let me show you guys the book. So this is my second book, and I'm going to try to do heroes as well as villains. Anybody who's caught my last couple of shows knows that I think that the heroes will always outpace the villains. Even if they're smaller heroes, the villains will get pop, but they won't get as much pop. That's just my opinion. That's what I've seen over the past couple of years, and I'll stick to that till that changes. But this is a villain. It's a very popular villain, a villain that I think is on the doorstep of popping into an MCU show or movie. I'm hoping it's a movie, but now I'm starting to hear it's a show. So you guys let me know what you think. It is Avengers number 8, the first appearance of Kang the Conqueror. Now, this book is actually between, I would say, a 4.5 and a 5.0. It is a nice clean copy. I bought this a few years back as well, and it is skyrocketed since then. I picked this up, I think, for $130, right around there. And when I'm going to show you the price for a 4.5, 5.0, you're going to be like, whoa. And this is only a couple of years with no mention of anything, minimal recently about him showing up in something. So let me go ahead and show you what the GPA for this book is in a 4.5, 5.0 range. Give me 1 second. There you go. Let me make that bigger so you guys can see that. So I have this up at a 4.5. The 4.5 is right here. About middle of 2019, it was $144. Look at the jump. Let me scroll back up because you see now. So you can go back up there. There we go. So here you go. Average 2008 sale was $140. 2019, 4.5 went to $357. So $144 to $357 in a matter of 1 year. Now it took a dip in part of 2019, but only by a couple of bucks. And now it's back up to $365, and the average is $365. There's only been one sale in 2020 of a 4.5 CGC graded book, or graded book, I should say. I'm not sure if GPA does CBCS and PGX as well. I think it's only CGC, but I could be wrong. So we're going to go ahead and expand a 4.5 to see, like I said, the low was 335. 6 were actually sold, a high of 365. So all in the same range. And those are graded books. 2019, there was a high of 475. 14 were sold and a low of 252. That crazy 475, that is a huge number for this book. And like I said, we don't even have an official announcement yet. So let me go back up here. I'm actually going to go to the 5.0 now, and you can see it right here, 5.0. 2018, it was 295, and shot up a year later as a 403, came back down a little bit to 391, and average for this year is 416 with an average of 390 this year. We'll expand. We'll go further. 8 sold this year. The high was 450 and the low was 330, which to me, that's a huge disparity. You're telling me it's only 390 when that's a 450 sale right there? You could see right at 390, 450, 425. So steady numbers over the 400 for a book that I picked up about a year and a half ago for $130. Like I said, these prices are for graded books. So, like I said, I think you could, if you're a good grader and you're you think you can judge a book by its cover, so to speak, you can always pick this book up cheaper, or all books cheaper, for getting raw books and then having them graded. If you're more comfortable buying graded, that's 100% fine. I just think sometimes you can get a better deal buying raw and then submitting if you want to submit. So again, that's a hell of a jump in a year and a half's time from $130, $140 to close to $400. And he hasn't even been announced yet. Imagine when he's going to be announced. I mean, this is a Silver Age book. It's still, it's not, it hasn't reached its peak. We saw Thanos. That book was like such an inexpensive book before we saw him in the, MCU, and then all of a sudden it shot up. I have a 4.5 graded book. I think that's over a $500 book right now. But I could have bought it for like, before he came out, I could have bought it for probably under $100. So to me, this is an expensive book now. A 4.5, like I said, is $350. A 5.0 is, close to $400. If you can get this book now, I'm going to think it's going to at least double, get to 800 or so for a graded book in that range. And there's nothing wrong with picking up lower grade copies. That's 100% fine. Any Silver Age book. I have a ton of Silver Age books that are low grade, that are complete, that are, in decent shape. They may just have minor wear to them, which brings the grade down further. I think anything from a 1.5 up is doable. However, if you really want to get the most bang for your buck, you want to get the highest grade issue that you can. But not everything has to be 9.0, 9.8, right? Especially in these older books. Mid-grade is 100% fine. I think anything over a 2.0, you're all right. 2.5, you're all right to play it safe. To me, if you could pick up and afford the book in the mid-grade, do it, because I think that's where the most pop will be. When you get to like 9.0 range, there's not many people who can afford that book. Not me, not a whole bunch of people. So to me, I stick to the mid-grades and stuff like that. So unfortunately, I don't have an alternative to that. I'm not a second appearance collector type of guy. I know a lot of guys will say, well, if you can't get the first appearance, get the second appearance. I'm not always like that. To me, I'd rather find like a #1 issue, like the Spider-Woman #1. To me, I think this is a better buy. I'm not even sure this may be her second appearance. I have no idea. But either way, a #1 issue in a run is a better buy to me than a second appearance. But that's just me. That's what I see, and that's how I collect. Other people may feel different, and that's 100% okay. You collect how you want to collect. For investment purposes, that's just kind of what I do. So that's it for Key Issue Spec Show episode number 3. I hope you guys liked what I showed you guys today. Next week, we're coming back with some more Key Issue books, and we'll keep rolling on until we get some movie news or some TV show news, and we'll go from there. So with that being said, this is Lawrence over at Mighty Comics and Collectibles saying thanks for subscribing to my channel. If you're not a subscriber, I ask you to subscribe. Click the notification bell, like, share, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Night, guys and gals.